Well, good day, Michael here. Good day, Christian. So today I wanted to test a couple more knives, and I've chosen two knives here, and I'll explain why I've chosen these two knives. I've seen quite a few affiliate type videos on the HX Outdoors, and so I wanted to run a test on that again because I've been doing a fair bit of D2 steel lately on Kershaw D2, the AliExpress Kershaw D2, the Kershaw I got from Australia D2, and now I wanted to try this HX Outdoors D2 because lots of videos have been flying out there, so raving about how good they are. And HX Outdoors has been responding to some of those videos. And when I received this, I've probably said it before, but when I received this, there was no packaging. It normally comes in a nice hard case. I didn't get the hard case. I didn't even get a fire stick to go into this sheath. And I've commented to HX Outdoors and said, I think I even wrote an email and told them what had happened and that the seller from AliExpress had not replied. And to this day, they haven't responded back about that, and so I've just discounted it. It's not that big a deal, but it's just a little bit annoying that they would do that. They'd ship a knife that's lacking the steel. I think that's pretty average. So I wanted to sharpen that, and I did sharpen it. And this I took away in the caravan, so I have been using it on my last trip away in the caravan. And I actually do like the feel of this knife in the hand. It actually feels good to use. And in some ways, I think it's superior to the Gerber Strong Arm, which I own the original, as you know, but did terrible on cut tests. Really bad. So that steel is quite average. The other knife that I wanted to test today, because I've also been testing the rake Jaeger and getting some results with that, and I've got about 40 cuts on this thicker rope, which is quite tough and abrasive. So around 40 cuts on that particular knife, the rake, and also with the Kershaw D2 I've been getting about 40, and even the Kaiser baby, I think I've got up to 40 cuts too. A little bit subjective there at the end when to stop. As you know, it's not always easy. So I just wanted to give this Harnds 14C28N another go to see how it compared to the rake. Will I get this to around 40 cuts? It's a more expensive folder, and so it should be better steel. It should get up around that amount. Lots of videos out on Harnds folders. It's a well-known Chinese brand. So I'm going to test that today to see if I can get that to 40 cuts. I'm also the cheap Kershaw Camp 5. I think I got between 20 and 30 cuts on that. Possibly being a bit generous. I don't know if you just saw that the cat's chasing the dog. Ooh, cat's... Can you see that? No, you can't. What happens is the cat swipes at the dog mouths back at the cat, so the cat doesn't want to get... It's a bit of a stalemate. So anyway, they're having a bit of a battle right in front of the camera, but that's okay. We'll keep going. You can only see the tail of the dog, and they're about to have another battle. Hey, hey, hey! The Pippin just got stuck in around my feet, and the cat gave Pippin the biffo. Anyway, getting back biffo. I wonder how that would translate, Christian. It means the cat was bashing up the dog. Now I'm lost. Okay, so I'm going to test that one and this one just to see how they compare to the tests I've been doing lately. So I'm going to start off With the HX Outdoor, I'm expecting, to be honest, 20 cuts, and just to show you the sharpness, and I would think the Harnds should get between 30 and 40. Right, so very sharp. Well, sharp enough for the test anyway. I don't know if it'd split hairs, but it'd certainly shave hairs, which is good enough for me. All right, so let's start with the Harnds, HX Outdoors, and then we'll go into the Harnds. So I'll do 10 cuts and we'll measure it. We'll try and get around, just around the belly there. Harnds, or the HX Outdoors always starts good. Right, 10 cuts, and my goodness, I've only got 10 cuts. That'd say a lot, wouldn't it? Let's have a look. I can see a slight little glitter, but good enough to keep going, but I can see where it's going to cause a problem. But good enough for 10. Get it up to 20, I think it's going to get the 20. I do like the feel of this knife, and I like the feel of this knife and I like the feel of the Ganzo. I just wish they performed better. They both, the 9CR Ganzo fixed knife, they both feel good, but they're just underperforming. So that's 20 cuts. You can see where it's working hard there. Of course, if I angle it and go across the top, you would think, oh, that's beautiful. See that? But I'm testing it slow and down there. I'll go another 5. I think it's where I'm actually cutting, it's could do another 5 at least. So that's 20. $25. And I am starting to see just a little bit of lights on that. So could it be finishing right here? Oops. Really doesn't like that belly there. I wasn't really cutting there though. It's the problem with these tests. They end up giving you trouble where you're not expecting it. So what do you do with that? Get it to 30. Yeah, I think 5 more is going to see it to 30, which is the same as that Kershaw Camp 5, so pretty similar. That must be the Mark IV cheap Chinese D2. Not too bad. I'd have to say, if you can get to 30, it's not too bad if you get the right price, which I did on this knife. You can see it's getting hung up there. I think we'll stop that one definitely at 30. And it's getting hung up on the same point, just here at the belly actually. Not where I would expect it. Yeah, so I think 30s, see that cut all right. Slow cut and you get the hang up. That's the way to test it. If I go across the top, make it look good, see? I could do reviews on these knives and look at that. You go down the page slow and you begin to see where it really hiccups. So I could probably do 60 cuts if I was going across that top, but I want to keep the test consistent, so I'm going to stop now at 30 because there's that slight jag and I can see just a slight glitter in the blade, but obviously, you know, that's going to be still shaving sharp, I would say. Yeah, look at that. So it's still shaving sharp. Not perfect, but still shaving sharp. Right, next, let's see what the Harnds can do. I'll go straight to 20 cuts, so you can fast forward it. Cutting a bit into the board there. Heaps easier to cut, but you would expect that with a much thinner behind the edge geometry, much thinner at the top. So you would expect it to perform better. I still do want to compare it to the rake. "20 cuts, by the way." Yeah. So there's a slight little bit of wear there. Actually, I am seeing some lights on 20, but I think the thickness behind the edge means it's still cutting. So, you know, lots to be said in geometry. In fact, there's actually more lights on that than there is the HX Outdoors. And this is why I've been a bit disappointed in this Harnds and why I've decided to get the petrified fish, because that shouldn't be bending over like that. Even though it's still cutting, you can hear it. Oh, hang on. I could actually finish the test there, you know. Yep. To be fair, so how bad's that? Seriously. Oh, that one's not too bad. Right. 20, I'll bring it up to 30 because it's kind of still slicing there, but I'm not liking what I see. Maybe just 5 more and drop the rate. Bit disappointing, really. Still cutting well. You wouldn't know that edge was slightly bent because it's still cutting beautifully. Yeah, you can just see that jagged edge. Sometimes it cuts through all right. Do 5 more, get it to 30, and then I'm going to call it because it's still slicing, but not looking good. But it's cutting easy. It's getting a little bit harder. So that brings it to 30. It's kind of getting through, but you can hear it. Of course, this way, you wouldn't even know. It's kind of cutting through. I'm going to call it because I can see quite a bit of glitter and that's all geometry that's cutting through that. So I'm going to call this Harnds 30, even though it's still cutting through. It really is not convincing. It's not convincing to look at it. And look, it's, if you do a little bit, yeah, it's jagged. Good bit of paper. All right, be fair. 30, but not convincing. 30 for both of them, I think. And there we go. Thank you and goodbye.